The largest and most successful of all flowering plant families, which botanists refer to as the Asteraceae or the Compositae, has three main tribes. You have the daisies, the dandelions and the thistles. Now, the most familiar examples of the thistle tribe are the thistles themselves, which, as you can see, are variously and viciously ornamented with spines and spikes to deter herbivores, particularly around the flower heads themselves, where you've got an involucre of very sharp spines and spikes, making the plant very difficult to handle. So partly for this reason, our species of choice to examine the structure of the flower in the thistle tribe is black knapweed. Partly because it's easy to handle, easy to pick and handle and easy to dissect. Partly because it is more generally widespread and is a key species in the most important semi-natural grassland type that we find in this part of the country. And also because of its very great importance for the support of biodiversity. Black knapweed also has its elegant involucre, but it's not spiky as it is in the thistles. You can see it consists of scaly tiles tightly and protectively enclosing the florets. There are about 100 of these, and if we dissect the head, there they are, and you can see, particularly if you look towards the margin where the florets have fully opened, you can see there's an upper bell or goblet shaped part about 4 or 5 millimeters deep, and it's deeply incised with 5 teeth, and that flares out from the narrowest of pipettes at the base. Here we are, there we go, and that pipette is about 10 millimeters long and contains nectar, which is only accessible to insects with long tongues. So long-tongued bees, butterflies and certain groups of moths. As in daisies and dandelions, the anthers are fused to form a hollow tube into which the pollen is shed. In these two groups the pollen is pushed to the top of the flower by expansion of the style, but here the style stays where it is and the filaments contract when they are touched by the feet or proboscis of a probing insect. So the same end of pushing out the pollen is achieved, helped by a bottle-brush rim of sweeping hairs just below the stigma. When the filaments contract, the anther tube closes at the top, which is why, unlike dandelions, say, the flowers can stay open when it is raining, because the pollen is exposed only when there is an insect visitor. You can actually see most of this with a hand lens. What makes it difficult is that most of the parts are different shades of purple. But most of that purple is contributed by the 5-toothed corolla itself. If you look at the flower from the side, the little bits, the purplish bits sticking up in the middle, those are the anther cylinders, and particularly in the flowers at the edge, which are the older flowers, you can see that the stigma and style have just pushed out from the top of the anther cylinder. The flowers of black knapweed are exceptionally popular with bees and butterflies, but many insects feed on other parts of the plant as well, on the leaves and stems, roots, and in particular perhaps on the developing seed heads. One particular study recorded 20 species of gall flies and their parasites living in the developing seed heads. And 20 species of microfungi have been recorded from the plant. The nap of the common English name is the tight knob enclosed by the involucre of the flower, and it has similar knob names in German, in Swedish, in Dutch and in Irish. The Latin name, the scientific Latin name for the genus to which the knapweeds belong, is Centaurea. The centaur in question being Chiron, who in classical mythology was credited with teaching mankind the use of medicinal herbs. Chiron was fatally wounded in the heel by an arrow dipped in the blood of the Hydra. He attempted to treat it with a salve made from black knapweed, and so great was the pain that he begged Zeus to deprive him of his centaur immortality, offering his life in return for the life of Prometheus, and this was agreed. If you know where to look, you can find him in the night sky, for he is the archer in the constellation Sagittarius, one of the 12 signs of the zodiac.